Hey there, creepy peeps. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, welcome back. If you are returning, today is going to be all about the Stranger Things. It is the 28th of June. I thought I would record this before I started catching up on Stranger Things, because I just wanted to my plan is just kind of to buzz through each episode and maybe watch a recap video or two on YouTube just to refresh my brain before Stranger Things season 3 hits. But as I was planning this video with my patrons, they really wanted me to try and recap it before I recap myself. So I'm relying 100% on my memory here. So I guess they thought it would be funny. So what I remember from, God, season 1 is gonna be the hardest to recap because, yeah. So I remember it's all about Will. He goes missing in the upside down and everybody's looking for him and everyone's upset, and at the same time basically 11 escapes from Hawkins' lab. I remember everyone's trying to find Will, and then the kids, Mike and Dustin and Lucas, are dealing with 11, learning about her powers. They find out about the bad men from Hawkins' lab that are after her, also simultaneously trying to find Will, and then they find out they can use 11 to find Will. I feel like this is great because I feel like I'm talking myself through it and I'm remembering more as I start talking about it. They do that whole thing with the pool, and then that's when she finds out that Barb is dead, and she finds out where Will is. What else happens in season 1? I mean, we have a whole thing with Barb going missing when she actually gets killed. We don't know that till the end though. And Nancy feels super guilty because she went off to have sex with Steve at the time that she went missing, so she feels really guilty about that. And Steve is just a grade A piece of shit in season 1, I remember. She's trying to be normal, but also at the same time trying to find Barb, so she teams up with Jonathan. Yeah, because there's that whole thing where she goes in the tree, which is a portal to the upside down. And so they make a plan to kill the Demogorgon thing because they think it killed Barb, so they're gonna go kill it. And then they all come together with Hopper and Will's mom. What else happens? All come together and they're at the school to do the pool thing, I remember, but then they all split up again. I don't remember what Jonathan and Nancy go to do. They go to go fight something, and I honestly can't remember what they go do. The bad men show up at the gym, and so the kids got to try and run, and then there's the whole battle at the school where 11 is a badass and kills the Demogorgon and stuff like that. When we end season 1, Will has been saved, kind of. There's that whole cliffhanger where he coughs up the slug looking thing, and so you know that he's not okay even though he's back. And then Hopper makes that deal with the Hawkins lab. Nobody's gonna say anything, and then they all get to live, and then Hawkins lab is gonna keep on keeping on. But then he finds out where 11 is because he leaves the Eggos in the box. I don't know what you call that. It's in the woods or something. This season 2, where I remember we find out we see how 11, she is in the upside down, and then she gets out, and then she's hiding out in the woods when Hopper finds her. And so Hopper lives with her in this isolated cabin where he's keeping her hidden from Hawkins' lab. And then we got all the boys dealing with the aftermath of everything that happened. Mike be missing 11, and he talks to her on the radio. I remember that. Bill is having episodes, and he goes to Hawkins' lab for checkups and stuff. But everyone's just saying, oh, it's just because the anniversary of everything that happened is coming up. So of course we go for a whole season while he's having issues, and everyone's just it's fine, he's fine. We have Max. Max shows up with her just weird stepbrother or whatever the fucking don't know what's going on with him. Storyline, I feel like it's just so weird. He's just like super extra mean and violent and really just antagonistic towards Steve. Max, who Dustin and Lucas think are really cool, think she's really cool, and Mike's a little butthurt because, you know, he feels like they're trying to replace 11 or something. Oh yeah, and then there's that whole thing where like Mike and Max kind of like reconcile, like they kind of like bond a little bit, and 11 just of course happens to sneak out to try and find him at that time and sees them like laughing and having fun, and it seems like Mike has moved on, so that's when she decides to like run away and go find her mom, and that leads her to finding that other girl, 8 or 9, whatever, 7, 8, who also is with her at Hawkins Lab. So she finds her and they go do this like badass like 80s punk rocker thing. Dustin finds this very obvious like alien thing. I just don't understand, like after everything that happened after Hawkins Lab, why he just assumes it's a brand new organism that he's discovered. Like Dustin can't get a hold of anybody else, so he gets Steve's help. He goes to try and find Mike at Nancy's house, or tries to find Nancy or something, I don't know, and then like Steve just happens to be there also trying to win Nancy back. But at this point she's already like long gone with Jonathan to go to that like conspiracy theory guy to try and get justice for Barb. So they go to this conspiracy theorist to find out a way to get the news out so that Hawkins Lab is hurt in the process. So people find out that Hawkins Lab is doing some shady shit, and it resulted in Barb's death, and they tried to cover it up so that way her parents know that Barb is dead, and then everybody gets outraged over Hawkins Lab and shuts it down, which is what happens at the very end of season 2. Our good buddy Drum Dums Lee McCoy locks it up himself. I remember that. I remember seeing Lee at the end. Oh, there's a whole thing with like Bob and Will's mom and stuff, and the mind flayer. I mean, that's like a main part. And I guess that kind of leads me into like my predictions, because I'm gonna make some predictions really quick. I have seen the trailers for it. So the mind flayer was a big part of season 2. That's like the being that kind of like possesses Will, I guess it's like the best way to say it, to like spy on everybody. And we see at the very end of season 2, like at the end of the snowball, everything turns upside down and you see the mind flayer. So they just stopped it, they didn't kill it. So it makes it seem like that's still gonna be a contender for season 3. I don't know, I saw an interview where that actor Noah Schnapp, they were asked to describe the season in like one word, and he said sad, I think he said, which makes me think maybe one of them is gonna die, and I kind of think it's gonna be Will, which makes me real sad because I feel like he's just got the shit end of the stick for the last 2 seasons. And obviously it looks like there's going to be a lot of like teenness going on, like with our couples, and Dustin seems like he's gonna be a little sad about it because he doesn't have anybody, which is sad. He's a cute kid. Max and 11 obviously look like they're going to be bonding because this is all set around like a mall, which should be fun. I want like a 80s dress up montage with the 2 of them. I think that'd be great. Looks like there's people protesting, so I think that's going to be kind of like the aftermath of Nancy and Jonathan getting that stuff out about Hawkins Lab. So I think the people are going to be blaming the mayor, played by Carrie Elwes, so he's gonna have to deal with that, trying to get up for re-election. And then we see something going on with Billy as well. Like one of the episodes is called like the case of the missing lifeguard, and we see a shot of him in the trailer like looking down at his arm, and it looks like it's infected. And then we see like the big monster thing. So I've seen some theories that people think that Billy turns into that thing. Which would be cool, because that looks like one of the like that would be cool. So I don't know if we're gonna get kind of like an infection sort of thing going on, like if you get bit you get turned into something like that. I don't know. My predictions for those the only thing I really predicted was that one of the kids is gonna die. Specifically, I think Will. I think Will is gonna die. We'll see. All right. So sorry, this was very long and the rest of the video is gonna be really long. But yeah, so I guess I'll toss it back to me from the future. So yeah, though this is Vicky post Stranger Things season 3. I've now watched the entire season 3, and yeah, so let's talk about it. Really quick, it should say it in the title, but this is going to have spoilers. I'm going to talk about the ending. I'm going to talk about all the stuff that happened. Well, not everything that happens, but I'm going to give away some major stuff that happened. So if you haven't yet finished the season, please click away. And if you continue to watch, that's at your own risk. So I don't want any mean comments about how I spoiled so-and-so dying or so-and-so doing whatever, because you brought it on yourself. I was so wrong. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hang up my hat for making theories about future episodes of anything, because I'm horrible at guessing. The only thing I was right about was a character whose name starts with a B dying. I mentioned that in season 1 it was Barb, season 2 it was Bob, so I predicted Billy was gonna die, which he did. Although I hated Billy. I think everybody did. That was like the point. You're supposed to hate Billy. But I honestly, they really know how to pull your heartstrings in this show, because I really felt for him by the end of the season, because when Elle goes to try and infiltrate his mind and find him, she sees a little bit of his backstory and his kind of very sad and tragic upbringing. So you feel for him, and you kind of understand a little bit why he is the way he is. He's basically the main person that the Mind Flayer has possessed, and he comes out of it, of course, at the last second and saves Elle from the Mind Flayer, thus sacrificing himself. So he earned some tears from me. I was definitely sad at his death, because he did redeem himself there at the last second. And Max, I love that Max was genuinely upset too. In season 2 it seems like she really hates him, but in season 3 you see how worried she is about him also. So it's deep down, even though on the surface she hates him because he's a dick, deep down she does care about him, which is really sweet. So we're gonna go back to an old method of how I used to review things. So let's start with what I didn't like about season 3. And it's really only one thing, and I could honestly say this about every single season. There is, of course, a character or two that doesn't get much to do, and they aren't focused on as much. But like I said, that's true for every single season, because there are so many characters we're bouncing around between. So there's bound to be characters that don't really get as much to do in each season. So what I did like was damn near everything else. I thought this season, correct me if I'm wrong, had a whole lot more horror to it than previous seasons. It's always been kind of a scary show, but more sci-fi than anything, but still quite scary. But I felt like this one was genuinely scary, especially with the whole all of the flayed people being very zombie-like, especially the hospital sequence, when Nancy and Jonathan are facing off against Tom, and the character who Gary Busey's son plays, forgot his first name. That whole sequence was quite scary and very predatory too, especially them going after Nancy and calling her Nancy Drew, and I know everybody hates the F word, but I did like the feminist tidbits that were thrown into the show. First of all, with Nancy and her job at the paper, Jonathan gets the really cool position of being a photographer, while Nancy is basically a secretary. She's an assistant. She mostly gets coffee, which is hard for her to deal with, because she's a very ambitious character, and she's uncovering this story about the rats and something that's going on with them, and nobody will listen to her. And when she gets fired, I feel like the conversation she has with her mom, Karen, is really important, because I feel like they don't really say it, but I felt that Karen's advice to Nancy was more about the misogyny she faced first and foremost, and then about like the story she's chasing. At the end, she like tells her to go for the story no matter what, like who cares what anybody says. But I like that she doesn't sugarcoat it either. She's basically telling Nancy like, you're a woman, this shit's gonna happen for the rest of your life. And then she goes into like, the important thing is to like follow your gut, follow your heart. So I like that. And they did it like without sugarcoating it and without being too obvious about it. Like it was kind of subtle and I liked it. And then the other side to that is Max and Elle's relationship. I think Elle's journey like thus far has been pretty awesome. And I really liked that they didn't just stick to her and Mike's relationship. Obviously they're like, all the kids are, you know, coming into teenagerdom and, you know, hormones are raging. So of course they're gonna be into each other. And the first couple episodes, they're just like, literally you can't separate them, which is annoying. But that's how all teenagers are. It's very like Romeo and Juliet, just like life or death sort of thing. And you know, it kind of makes sense because Elle, like, out of all the boys in the party, their D&D party, Elle has the strongest relationship with Mike because she connected with him first. But I think it's really important for her to also have a strong like female relationship as well, like a strong female friendship with Max. Speaking of great friendships, we have to talk about Steve and Robin because they are my new favorite duo. And I like, again, instead of focusing on a romantic relationship, we're shown a strong friendship. First and foremost, even before Dustin starts like dropping stuff like,
oh my god, you should totally ask out Robin, she's awesome.
Like they lead you to believe it's gonna be a romantic relationship, but then in like one of the best scenes in the entire season, when Steve basically confesses that he likes her, she comes out to him and it's a fantastic scene. But like I said, it like ends up being a really strong friendship. Life isn't all about romance, people, and this is coming from a hopeless romantic. I hate when shows and movies only focus on romantic relationships. It doesn't have to be at the forefront of every damn show and movie. Like, so kudos to this season for really highlighting friendship. And I feel like the entire show is about friendship first and foremost, but I like that the focus was way more on the friendship this season than any romances. And of course we have to talk about the ending. I admit, I cried like a little bitch. It was sad as fuck, like just a whole ass sad ending. I'm sorry, I know it's like bittersweet, but I feel like it was just more bitter than anything. So sad with like the Byers clan moving away, so like the party being broken up. And then of course Hopper and Alexi. Everyone's so sad about that. I've seen so many posts. I've contributed a little bit to the post, but I've seen so many posts honoring Alexi's memory, which I think is so awesome that that came out of. I feel like Alexi and the Neverending Story musical break are like the most iconic things that have come out of the season that everybody is just still talking about, which leads me into my season 4 predictions. I know I said I was gonna hang up my hat, but the one thing I am almost, I hope I'm not wrong, sure of is that Hopper ain't dead. And I have 2 reasons why. First one is when it actually happens. So he's like down by the key, like the machine thing that's meant to be opening the gate. And, you know, Joyce has to close the gate, but that's gonna destroy, it's gonna blow up the machine, and Hopper's standing right next to it, but she doesn't have time to wait for him to get back up there. She's gotta do it. And he like sadly like smiles at her and nods like it's okay and your heart is breaking. You're just like, no. So we see all that. Then she closes her eyes, turns the keys. And then when it cuts to the machine exploding, we don't see Hopper standing where he was. He's nowhere to be seen. So I'm thinking like at the last second, maybe he saw a way to get away and saved himself. That was supported by the mid-credit scene where we are in Russia and these 2 guards are going to get a prisoner, and one of them approaches the door and the other guy says, no, not the American. And you don't see who's in the cell, but you can only imagine if everyone thinks Hop is dead, he escaped, being blown up and killed and vaporized. But ended up being caught by the surviving Russians. And yeah, so I think that's gonna be a big part of season 4 is saving Hop. Other than that, I have no other predictions. I don't know what could possibly happen in season 4. The mid-credit scene gives you a lot to think about with the whole like not the American, so everyone's thinking that's Hop. And then the whole fact that you see a Demogorgon right before it cuts away, so the gate is still open somewhere. Maybe they successfully did it in Russia. We don't know. Yeah, the only other prediction I think I have is that I saw floating around on the internet that the Duffer Brothers, I guess, had said before in interviews that they only wanted to do like 4 seasons of Stranger Things. So, I mean, this 4th season will be the last season, which I kind of hope it is, to be honest. I know a lot of people always want like the best shows to go on forever and ever, but I hate watching a good series die a slow and painful death because like the studio or whoever can't let go of it and needs want to keep pumping out a moneymaker like Stranger Things is. It's a very popular show. I hope like they can stop the show while it's, you know, letting it go out on top rather than, like I said, die a slow and painful death. So this video is probably long enough with the first part attached to it. So if you finished Stranger Things, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about this season, how it stacks up to the previous 2 seasons for you. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here. Become a Creepy Peep today. This video is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you can ring that notification bell down there to be notified every time I post a video, even though it doesn't always work. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay strange. Bye!
This video is brought to you by all these lovely creepy patron peeps that you see listed on the left-hand side of the screen. If you want to find out the perks to being a creepy patron peep, you can follow that link that is in the description of this video. No pressure, but it's there if you want to check it out. Thanks for watching. Bye!